your condition who waste all their life savings on treatment.
Oh, wow. May God bless this man.
Oh, yes. His achievements are outstanding. Grandma, do you know that he built the University of Ghana Medical Center, Bank of Ghana Hospital, the Ridge Hospital, the Maritime Hospital, Ghana East District Hospital, Dodowa District Hospital, Upper West Regional Hospital, and many more. Some of these hospitals became our savior during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, that one I know. Baba, Pacha, Francis, Frekukua, Frejua, Frefi, not Fro, Biero, if you are catching on the one Frebus Janina. One Rambatwa about my John Mama, no, NDC. One Bajianqua, I
vote John Mahama and NDC for jobs and prosperity for all.
Master, you heard the story of the student who copied his friend in an exam and even copied his friend's name. I hope say Yanum no could copy the NDC flag.
Hey boy, when we talk, the NDC's People's Manifesto, it be top one. See, what Yanum?
Once they hit them hard with the legalization and the regulation of Okada, no Yanum come. Them say them start consultation long time to legalize them. Then we hear say about me, I say he go buy car for each Okada rider. Funny.
They make beans, I tell you. Don't go fit. Maza, atas catch them.
What the funny be that? Eh? Them think say we all fool, so we go fall for the matrix. So them start they cut short for projects left and right. Ghanaians be smarter than that. Them go lose bad.
See, bro, you know say me as a day, me now they do my houses 1 and 2, they get money, they take settle my school fees. But right now, John Mahama say Chemupe, which means the NDC Mahama-led government will pay 50% of school fees for all tertiary students in the universities, polytechnics, college of education, nursing training schools, and so on.
Charlie, John Mahama be visionary. Chimpe go ease pressure for parents and students, them at all pound. The moment they freak me with the increase of the student loan to meet the needs of the students, and it will be paid on time. You know, say after John Mahama increased the student loan 2,600 in 2016. Oh, Panano at cap precept since 2017.
Oh yeah, I be here say John Mahama say he go cancel the guarantor requirement. So say students go access the loan without the need for a guarantor.
Oh, as for that movie there, Mama was one. What they finish me, they say John Mahama say he go bring back the student loan plus scheme. This scheme will allow students who get admission to tertiary schools to apply for loan even before them go school.
Charlie, John Mahama do all. This trip, I go be free from hassling to pay my school fees. I go have time to study brutal and top my class.
Any challenger? No challenger. Why settle for the photocopy? Go for the original. My guy, what you say? Champion.
Vote John Mahama and NDC for jobs and prosperity for all.
What did the pharmacist say?
Grandma, he said this medication too is not covered under the NHIS.
Oh, are they destroying the National Health Insurance too?
No worries, Grandma. In the NDC's People's Manifesto, John Mahama says if he wins, he will provide free primary health care for all.
That's interesting. Tell me more.
Oh yes, under this policy, any Ghanaian who visits the district hospital, clinic, polyclinic, or the CHIPS compound with malaria, hypertension, diabetes, fibroid and so on will be treated for free, whether or not they have an NHIS card.
Really?
Oh yes, Grandma. All you need to enjoy free healthcare is the possession of any national ID card that shows that you are Ghanaian.
But Baba, Will he cancel the national health insurance?
No, Grandma. He won't cancel the NHIS.
Oh, okay.
The free primary health care policy will just complement the NHIS.
Hey, is that so?
Yes, Grandma. There is a big one. In addition, he plans to establish a kidney and cancer disease trust fund to support people with your condition who waste all their life savings on treatment.
Oh, wow. May God bless this man.
Oh yes, his achievements are outstanding. Grandma, do you know that he built the University of Ghana Medical Center, Bank of Ghana Hospital, the Ridge Hospital, the Maritime Hospital, East District Hospital, Dodowa District Hospital, Upper West Regional Hospital, and many more. Some of these hospitals became our savior during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, but that one I know. Baba, take my phone. Call Fifi, call Tisi, call Ewurejua, call everybody in the house and tell them to call the whole family to come and vote for John Mama and the NDC to come and save our lives.
Yes.
Vote John Mahama and NDC for jobs and prosperity for all.
So welcome back. Thank you very much. If you just joined us, you're watching Good Morning Africa live on Pan-African Television. My name is Kwame Owusu. So a big thank you to the 6 a.m. news team for bringing us the 6 a.m. news, and also to Chidi, to AC Hamon and Ivan for bringing us up to speed what is happening in the world of entertainment and also on the front pages of the various newspapers we have in Ghana. Now, we are coming to deal with all the issues that we've tabled for our conversation, and I'm going to take you through them quickly before I introduce my panelists. Kenya arrests health workers after BBC Africa Eye Expose. Daily Graphic reported that particular story. Big demo against Ghana's EC to hit United States. The Inside newspaper stories on page 3. No interference in your work. Office of President dismisses resigned OSP's allegation. Ghanaian Times reported this one. My observations after reading government's green paper to SP resignation. That also is on the front page of the Daily Post, but the story is on page 4 of the Daily Post newspaper. I'm privileged to have in the studios with me Mr. Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is the managing editor for the Inside newspaper, and also Honorable Timothy Atabwedi Awentrim, former MP for Busa North constituency. Good morning to you, sirs. So let's start with the African story. Kenya arrests health workers after BBC Africa Eye Expose. Honorable, please.
Yeah, let me say good morning to our cherished viewers out there. Yes, just looking at the story, it's interesting that the arrests involve medical doctors. And this child trafficking syndicate is not, it's been there for some time.
Right.
And it is interesting that those people who are in charge of our health and our kids get themselves involved in trafficking of our children from this part of the world into other parts for other reasons like sexual exploitations and so on. And if the BBC was able to get this expose brought to the attention of the authorities and they've been arrested, they should be dealt with in accordance with the law. But for me, it's a dent and it's a bad news item, especially to Africans, haven't gotten our background through slave trading, where most of the African continent had been colonized by the Western powers. And immediately after that, we have our own people who are in charge of protecting our young ones are engaged in child trafficking, and they traffic these children to Western countries for sexual exploitation and for other exploitations and so on. For me, it is good, and just like and issues involving even our health care, with the current COVID-19 issues, where health workers have also been found out that in the issue of pandemic like this, government borrowed so much to take care of the vulnerable and in terms of even the general population. But we found out that COVID funds and so on have equally been embezzled by government officials who have been put in charge of ensuring that the ordinary people in the street get the benefit of these monies. We saw how our current government borrowed what took $1 billion from the World Bank to ensure that this money goes to the people. It rather went into the politics. And as we talk now, so much money is being distributed by the National Board on Small Scale Industry to purportedly people whose businesses have been affected in terms of the crisis of the pandemic. But when you go on the ground, these monies are not reaching out to the deserved people out there. Politics has tainted the distribution of this money. Even in some cases, we are told that you must show your political ID card before you are allowed to take the monies. And sometimes you are told that this is a gift from the current president. And it brings to mind that if the current government had done so much as they claim, they should not be distributing monies that are meant for the people of this country in order to gain political advantage. Right. Issues of child trafficking and so on, they cut across not just Kenya, but all of Africa and in areas where the economic status of our people are in a very serious critical condition. Sometimes most of these kids are sold just for a pittance. Even in Ghana here, we hear a lot of child trafficking. We hear that children are mostly even sent into slavery, and they are used to do all manner of odd jobs that are injurious to their health and their growth. So if the BBC has exposed this, we expect that the law against child trafficking should bite, and they should not spare those people involved in the chain of affairs of this cancerous trade to humanity.
Thank you. Mr. Pratt, please.
Well, the Kenyan story, indeed, is a typical story of a country which suffers, neoliberalism, a country which has enormous resources and yet its people are not benefiting from the exploitation of the resources. I mean, I've followed the Kenyan story very closely, and the question I ask is, what would make a human being, especially one involved in the practice of medicine, to steal another human being and sell the human being for $400? $400. And if you have medical personnel who are selling human beings for $400, the indication is that as far as they are concerned, that whole human life is worth $400. And if people think the human life is worth $400, how do they work to save that life? What is the level of diligence and care that you expect from people who think that human life is worth $400? And that's a huge question. And people who take all the risk to steal other human beings and sell for $400, there must be something terribly wrong with their valuation of human life, with their commitment to protect human life and so on. And for me, that's far more important than anything else. Now, it does appear that this practice has been widespread, you understand. And there are many factors that contributed to the festering of this practice. One happens to be some of the traditional norms we appear to uphold. And we've come to believe that if people marry, they must by all means produce a child. And that if they are not able to produce a child, then something is wrong with them. And society has put so much pressure on couples to become baby-producing machines. That's part of the problem. Marriage ought not to be just about producing children. There's so many values in marriage that we should uphold. So this societal pressure compels people to go to the extra length of having children. And that's a huge problem. So if you follow the story, many of the people who actually bought these stolen children did so because they wanted society to think that they are capable of childbearing. This is a foolish, archaic, unrealistic expectation of couples. And it's part of the problem. We need to address that, as part of the problem. Then there's the question of poverty. I mean, extreme poverty. There's so much poverty in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. So much poverty. That kind of poverty, which leads to people abandoning their children. They abandon the children because sometimes the children are better off living on the streets than living with them. I mean, they wake up in the morning, they don't know what the children are going to eat. When the children fall sick, they have no capacity to cure them, and so on. So this leads to some desperation. There are too many street children in the so-called developing world and underdeveloped world. And it's important for us to begin to ask questions about, how come that in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and elsewhere, Australia and so on, people are so poor. And people are so poor not because their countries do not have resources which would enable them cater for themselves and so on. People are so poor because of the system, the economic, social, and political systems we are running in the world. So this story is not a moral issue about child stealing and children for sale and so on. It's not a moral issue. It's a political issue, it's an economic issue, it's a social issue, and has other ramifications. Look, we are told that the world has enough resources to cater for maybe 10 times the current population. And yet, there is poverty. The world produces enough food to feed everybody on earth. And yet, some countries actually destroy food in order to stabilize prices. Now, why do countries destroy food in order to stabilize prices? Because food is not produced to quench hunger. Food is produced for profit. So when prices tumble, profits tumble. And to keep profits at a certain level and so on, food is destroyed. And this is a crime against humanity. This is a crime which has huge dimensions and so on. Simply put, the system we are running today in every part of the world is an inhuman system, which encourages the festering of suffering and so on. And what is the system that we are running? Some call it neoliberal economics, some call it all kinds of names. Bottom line, the world is run on a capitalist system. The system we are running is a capitalist system which is only focused on profit. So people learn about medicine, they do medical research, and they practice medicine, not because they want to heal the sick. They practice medicine, they do medical research and all those things simply to make profit. And that's the problem with our system. We don't grow food because people get hungry. We don't grow food because people need food to survive. We grow food to make profit. This is a criminal system. This is an unjust system. This is a system that if we continue practicing, we jeopardize everything that we hold dear as a people. So everybody, I've been listening to the international media and they are making a fuss about child trafficking and children for sale in Kenya and so on. Yes, there's child trafficking. Children are being offered for sale in Kenya and so on. It is true. But what are the fundamental causes? And I do hope that this story will compel all of us as journalists, as social commentators, as political activists and so on, to look at the kind of society we have built for ourselves and the kind of society in which we live, and to see if we cannot find alternatives to this rotten society of dog eat dog. if you cannot find an alternative to this society in which might is right, you can't continue to live in a society in which might is right. You can't continue to live in this society in which profit is the motive for everything. There ought to be other values which brings out our humanity and so on. The capitalist system has failed us completely. And I want to, to support the emerging forces of change throughout the world, the forces of reason, the forces of peace, the forces of equality, and so on. These forces which want to end exploitation and oppression, I give them my full support. Because if these forces do not emerge and become victorious, we will have worse scenarios. Kidnapping for ransom, ritual murders and so on. They all have their basis in the rotten capitalist system that needs to be uprooted.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Pratt. If you just joined us, you are watching the newspaper review segment on Pan-African Television. Let me remind you that we have tried with Phil to get an MPP rep here for today for some strange reasons. So if you're not seeing an MPP rep, it's not because we deliberately decided not to bring an MPP person here. It's just because they've decided not to appear on the show for today. So yes, that's just that. The second story is a big one, which has found prominence on the front page of the Insight newspaper, which has got to do with a big demonstration against Ghana's Electoral Commission, which is going to happen in the United States of America. And Honorable, respectfully, let me come to you again.
Kwame, I think the demonstration that we are expecting, that is supposed to hit the United States, it is in the right of those demonstrators to do so, because they have every right to do so.
Absolutely.
Most especially, they are also Ghanaians, and they are monitoring everything that is happening in our political discourse here. From the beginning to the end, they are always part, because they contribute substantially to their remittances, to their families, and even how much government benefit from these remittances. So they have the right to do so. If they feel that there's so much bad governance, they would have to do not just even the Electoral Commission, but every facet of the socio-economic development and discourse that we have in this country. They must demonstrate and let those who want to hear to also listen and resolve the matter. The Electoral Commission has had a lot of challenges from the beginning, from the period that they intended to compile the voters. There have been a lot of challenges, and the amount of money that we pumped into the Electoral Commission to ensure that we get a credible voter register, or all these monies came from the taxpayer, which include the people of the United States. And we are getting to elections, and they've told us that a lot of the issues that are needed have been done now. The voter register is compiled, has been distributed, but there's currently a deficit because more than 30,000 of registered voters' names that were captured, we've been told, have been expunged from the register. And names of these, we've asked them to publish the name for people to know if their names have been expunged, whether mistake or by due diligence, then they can understand that they have no vote. And even if their names were mistaken, they can take the appropriate steps to ensure that their names remain there and that to cast their vote, because the right to cast your vote is sacrosanct and you can't take it away from the people. It's a right of choice that they must decide in this election, especially coming on the heels of the bad governance that we are experiencing in terms of the enormous and the gargantuan corruption that we are experiencing, never before in the annals of the history of this country. They need to make a decision, and they contribute to the people of this country, and they say to their people that, look, you must vote and vote rightly. And especially, we cannot also, they cannot completely stay aloof, because they are in a country that have virtually become a development partner to this country, and they must echo what is happening here. The international community, in terms of the media reportage and so on, we are in a global village, and they get their news items from various outlets. But if the people of Ghana who are resident there come out to publicly demonstrate, because it's coming to election, and we've said time and again that these elections are crucial elections, Kwame, and we are not going to allow any manipulation of the processes to free and fair elections, which is an ingredient in elections, and that all the grounds must be prepared so well that each political party will have the same grounds. We see where the current Electoral Commission tends to portray themselves as they are an appendage to the Flagstaff House. And almost all what the Flagstaff House says, they do the same thing and they come out. Anytime, it's interesting that sometimes even the words that the president will use are the same words that have been regurgitated and used by the Electoral Commission. And I can cite examples like when the president referred to political parties or other people who were not in consonance with whatever the president would, as naysayers and Jeremiahs. The Electoral Commissioner led by J. Mensah also said the same thing. We heard what a deputy electoral chairperson in the form of in the person of Asari Bosman described a political party that has over 100 members of parliament as inimical to the democratic dispensation of this country, and they still are going to preside over the what do you call elections? It? The elections. We saw what happened at Owusu West, where for the first time hooligans were dressed, used state resources to sponsor them to create mayhem there. We are also hearing from the grapevine and other sources how they are planning. In fact, when you look at what they did at Ashama, they only said that it was a rehearsal. What those hooligans did at Owusu West was a rehearsal to the main general elections, and we are there. So we cannot leave anything unattended to. Every facet of information, be it accurate or inaccurate, we must follow, and it must go with other actions of demonstrations and so on. Remember, we had done demonstrations against certain actions and policies of the electoral commissions. We were even supposed to embark on demonstrations against the persons involved in the Ajapa deal, and were requesting for them to bring the monies that were illegal paid to them, because they were paid monies that there was no existing law to it. For instance, the Gabi Ochridakos, $103,000 that was taken even before the Ajapa deal could mature, and other monies that were paid to transactions advisors and so on. These are critical issues, and if we get it wrong in these elections, by keeping quiet, by not demonstrating, by citizens within the country and without the country demonstrating to show support for the democratic dispensation that we have here, and they sit and things go haywire, then they began to say, look, the issue is that we should have done, but it's gone out of hand. So for me, I think that their demonstration is in call. They are not the only people. We are also calling on other residents, even in Europe, to put their eye here, because these elections, we are not going to allow anyone to manipulate the system. We are not going to allow anyone coming under the guise of national security, holding a quota and dressing any way to go and disturb the people out there. We are asking that the people should begin from now till the votes are counted. Be watchful. Any information that is doubtful should be put out there. We are in support with the biggest demonstration that's going to happen in the United States. Not just there, we are also expecting our people in Britain, in other European countries, to demonstrate in support of a good cause, in support of good governance. It is mind-boggling that the sort of bad governance that we experience under this government comes when the president today has been someone who has been touted to be a prophet of good governance in this country. He has been touted to be a master of the legal issues in this country. Yet issues are begging for solution. Issues are begging for the laws to be tested, and they are not being tested. Look at the issues of corruption, misgovernance. Even the media is under an attack. It is only under this government that when you are talking about corruption, like Ahmed Swale and his group have been killed. It is only under this government that CSOs have come against serious government policies, and they are out there. If you think that NDC is political or other political, what of the CSOs that were on the streets to demonstrate for you to come? They did that believing that when you come, you are going to exhibit the tenets of good governance, in terms of even running the economy, in terms of state institutions and so on. We are now being inundated with family and friends government that, who dare you to talk about them? You talk about them, they come against you. Everybody must be each other's keeper in this current dispensation. So for me, demonstration is a right. We've done it here. If our brothers out there are also to demonstrate in support of good governance and also to show their dislike for the bad governance here, isn't right. We'll continue to demonstrate. And from now to the election, there's a critical period. Every information must be examined critically, and the bad one will make it known to the world.
Very well. Thank you very kindly. Mr. Pratt, please.
Well, I mean, the New Patriotic Party has been very busy portraying the current president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, as a master of demonstrations. And they claim that he's one of the world's leading human rights advocates because of his participation in efforts to organize demonstrations and so on. So I think that this is something that they should welcome, you understand. They use the organization of demonstrations as a criteria for the determination of who is committed to the rights of people and so on. So then, what is the difference between Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and Kevin Taylor or Dr. Solomon Owusu? Now, interestingly, Dr. Solomon Owusu, who is one of the conveners of the Concerned Ghanaians in the USA, which is organizing this demonstration, was only until recently a leading member of the New Patriotic Party. Indeed, he used to be, I think, the chairperson of the Colorado branch of the New Patriotic Party. So demonstrations are welcomed. All citizens have a right to demonstrate and to demonstrate about everything and anything. Indeed, if you look at the 1992 Constitution, the right to demonstrate is an unfettered right. The fetters were introduced only by Parliament, and I still maintain that the fetters introduced by Parliament are an affront to the right granted by the 1992 Constitution. Be that as it may, nobody has gone to the Supreme Court to test the law, and therefore we are saddled with a public order law which seems to restrict people's right to demonstrate and so on. Now, what are the issues that these Ghanaian citizens in the United States of America want to demonstrate, about or for? These Ghanaian citizens simply want free and fair elections, free, fair, and transparent elections. They want an election which is devoid of violence. They want an election which will lead to the expression of the true sovereignty of citizens, and so on. And I cannot find anything wrong with that. Indeed, I've been very worried over the last 1 week because of some videos I've seen. Terrifying videos that I've seen. And perhaps you have also seen those videos. I've seen people in strange uniform, very strange uniform, wielding pump action guns, you understand, and threatening that they will be operational on election day and that they will deal with people they disagree with and so on. I mean, that's very frightening. It is very frightening to the extent that these obvious hoodlums are using police vehicles. The vehicle they are using is registered GP, Ghana Police. Now, from my knowledge of what happens in the police service, policemen are not allowed to make public declarations and public statements, without clearance. Even those in the officer rank cannot just get up, go into the streets, and make such public statements. But these hoodlums are so emboldened that they are making statements threatening all of us and so on. Now, who are these people? How do they have access to police vehicles? And indeed, I'm sure that the police hierarchy and those working in national security have seen these videos. Have they made any attempts to identify these people? Have they made any attempts to deal with them as the police regulation state. And if they're not doing that, then we're all not safe. Then we should have serious concern for worry about the elections which will happen on December 7, 2020. Indeed, when I watch those videos, what comes to my mind immediately is the development as Owusu West were gone during the by-election. These are the same hoodlums. The impression is created that they've been disbanded. Here they are, using police vehicles, threatening the lives of voters and so on. Now, in the face of all this, you have the former chairman of the Peace Council making a statement to the effect that the elections will not be rigged. On what basis? If you have these hoodlums operating with this level of impunity, the elections will be rigged. Because if they manage to instill fear into sections of the society, and as a result of the fear they instill, those sections of the society do not turn up to vote, that would amount to rigging of the elections. And I want to hear the police hierarchy make a strong statement on that video. We want to hear the national security bosses make statements about that video, that terrible video, that video of intimidation, that video which is deliberately calculated to intimidate the voter population. It's a terrible video, you understand? And we cannot be talking about free and fair election if the statements made by those hoodlums are not addressed. If we do not ask the question as to how they came by police equipment and so on. These are important questions, you understand? Now you put that aside. The Electoral Commission has told us that it has removed 30,000 names from the register. From all the information available to us, about 15,000 of those 30,000 people whose names have been removed from the register do not know that their names have been removed from the register. So imagine what is going to happen on December 7th when we all go to vote and 15,000 people go to the polling stations and they are told that they cannot vote when they are holding cards, when they know that they have duly registered. What kind of confusion are we going to get? And where would this confusion lead us? That's a huge problem. You understand? So all those who are applauding the Electoral Commission and saying we are ready for elections and so on, these are some of the issues that they need, to look at. And I'm really worried about what is likely to happen. Look, there are so many people who are talking about peace. The need for peace and so on and so on. How do you get peace? You don't get peace by sermonizing on peace, by pontificating on peace and so on. You get peace in elections by ensuring that the process is transparent, it is fair, by ensuring that there's justice for any and everybody participating in the elections. So our emphasis rather on pontificating on peace and so on should be on ensuring justice on December 7th, 2020. Our emphasis ought to be on ensuring that the process is so transparent. We should avoid opaqueness in the processes leading up to the December 7th election. That's the only way of ensuring peace. In any case, those who are organizing these demonstrations and so on, are they doing anything different from what Occupy Ghana did 2016? Are they doing anything different from the group which called itself Let My Vote Count? Are they doing anything different from what the New Patriotic Party itself did and so on? Fairness. Look, Occupy Ghana, you remember what they did and so on. Yeah. I'm happy with them because they have demonstrated a certain level of consistency over the period. And so I don't quarrel. You understand? But what Kelvin Taylor and others want to do in the United States of America is exactly what they did in Ghana, to the applause of the sitting president and his party. Mm-hmm. You understand? So I have no quarrel with the planned demonstration in the United States of America. And indeed, I'm sure that they would organize their demonstration. It will be a peaceful demonstration, and it is possible that these demonstrations may be held in other parts of the world.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Well, so you just watched that video, and you know I don't know whether I can say it's a number plate or whatever it is, but it's there. You can see it on your screens, and these guys were very vocal. You can see them. It's on your screens now. So this is precisely the fear that Mr. Pratt is expressing, and we don't want to see that happening on December 7, 2020, because we all have to exercise our democratic right of choosing who our next leader should be. Thank you, Mr. Pratt, again. The WhatsApp number is 0260846539. 0260846539. I want to encourage all of you to share the Facebook feed, because I can see a lot of people are really sharing and watching this morning, excited about it. So share it so others can get the opportunity to watch the morning show. You can also join in the conversation with your messages via our WhatsApp and text number, which is 0260846539. Alternatively, if you're on social media, you can leave a comment beneath the live feed, and I will be more than willing to read the messages here. Now, let's come to the big elephant, to discuss the big elephant in the room, which has to do with the resignation of Martin Alamisi Kaiser Amidu. And the next topic says, no interference in your work. Office of President dismisses resigned OSP's allegation. I'm sure you've read extensively the response from government through Nana Asante Bediatu. And so you have, you've put together your documents to share with us. So please proceed.
You know, Kwame, this government has inundated us with a lot of literature on corruption. You hardly finish reading one scandal, then another one beckons, and you are forced to leave the one that has not been exhaustively discussed, and you are rushing into another. I think yesterday a lot of people who were glued to Joy TV to look at the documentary on the scandals at the National Lotteries department were shocked, because they gave the time at 8:30. People left whatever they wanted to do and were waiting, and it was postponed. The feeling out there was that National Communications Authority had distorted the signal, because we were trying to even watch it on DSTV and on Go TV, it never went, and even online on YouTube, it was cancelled. So all other outlets that you could watch this program was completely blacked out, and people got frustrated. Ghanaians are awakened. But the interesting thing is this. You see, the documentary alleges that over $10 million, Ghana is losing over $10 million in the procurement of POS, sales devices.
Point of sale devices.
Point of sales devices, yeah, for the national lotteries. And details are coming, it's yet unfolding. There was also another one on the issue of cocoa, the acquisition of cocoa chemicals by Agri Plus, and a whole lot of scandals. We can go on the PDS, the bus scandals. We are so inundated that corruption under this government has become a real national security issue, and that if it is not arrested, we are going to be in serious trouble with the dissipation of public funds. And you see, I just want to read just some small aspect of the response from the presidency. But Namiru talked about his life has been under threat after he did the corruption risk assessment. He has come under traumatic challenges. He's supposed to be a corruption an anti-corruption crusader, and not an anti-corruption entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Corruption has become one district, one corruption act. Like they are touting one district, one factory. And you see, look at their response. The first response, I just want the viewers to understand something. At the onset, it must be clear that throughout the tenure as special prosecutor, neither the president nor any member of the government has interfered. Martin didn't say any member of the government. He said the president.
Absolutely.
He said the president. So they should nail it. It's frontal confrontation. He said the president. He didn't say any member of the parliament. In fact, he quoted that the president wants to be a judge in his own court.
Course.
Yes, court. And that the president, how can the president invite Matnamidu on a Sunday? Kwame, now listen to point 8. At a meeting of 1st November 2020, the president duly delivered to you the response of the Minister of Finance to the allegations contained in the Japa report. How can the president, so moto, deliver the Minister of Finance response to the special prosecutor? Why can't the Minister of Finance himself deliver his response to the special prosecutor? In any case, when Matnamidu was requesting for the items for the documentation of the Japa royalties, he requested from the Minister of Finance direct. And it took Matnamidu so many days before he got it. Because according to Matnamidu, they seem not to have gotten the documents. And they were trying to cook some documents to be brought to him. That's why it took them so long. So how can the president? So what Matnamidu said that the president was interfering was true. Because it was the president that was giving the Minister of Finance response to Matnamidu direct. Can you imagine if an investigator and the whole president appears before you and give response to you? It's just like Matnamidu told me sometime that the Attorney General does not normally go to court. And anytime the Attorney General is in front of a judge, it means that the government is interested in that case and that judge must be careful. Because if the judge is not careful, it's the same thing. If the president handed over, he did not just hand over the response, but he was asking Matnamidu to infuse the response of the finance minister into the report to water down the seriousness of the report. That was the meaning of it altogether. And it also gave us the impression that, look, and they stated that it is also noteworthy that on the 2nd November, you release the actual 64-page Ajapa report, which the president had hitherto no knowledge to the public. So the public would not have what do you call it, responsibility to know from what has been investigated, just like in the case of the Cocoa Roads audit report that they've refused to report to release to the public. It goes on. The finance minister suspending action on blah blah blah. You are clearly aware that the president had accepted the observations that you had made in the Japa report and had acted on it by using the directives, by issuing directives to the Ministry of Finance and the Attorney General's Department. This was the Attorney General Department who first issued a statement, said that the Ajapati was unconscionable and that what sort of deed that is cast in a stone, that you cannot actually fire the CEO, and that the terms of these things were not known. And you know the interesting thing, the belligerence of this government is costing them. If they had listened to the minority in parliament, if they had listened to the CSOs on the issues they raised on the Ajapa deal, probably Matnamidu wouldn't have resigned. If they had listened and then listened to what the CEOs were criticizing them, they wouldn't have resigned. How did we come to this stage? We got to this stage of the Ajapa royalty deals, Kwame, because this government has overborrowed over 140 billion, and there was no show, there's nothing to deal about it. So all what was done, and they had run out of borrowing options. So what was left was the golden egg. That's the Japa royalties for them to go and they make money under the guise of using them for development purposes. Yet it was liaised with family and friends, which the special prosecutor described as chronism and favoritism, which we have talked about over and over again. We've talked about this over and over. And if you go on, you see, it is clear that they are only responding to Matnamidu. You responded to Matnamidu and said that, look, the amount of money that you released to Matnamidu, he had not been able to spend it. And Matnamidu is a careful man. You know, there's this culture within the public ministries and agencies where budgetary allocations are given to them. They are not able to spend it. But when it's getting to the close of the financial year, they rush to spend everything Instead of paying it back into government chest, they run to spend it. Madnamidu, by the work that he has done, cannot spend such colossal amount. So if he hasn't spent it, he did not spend it for the good of the people, so that the money will pay back to government chest, rather than paying it, using it unwise, or use a fraudulent means to spend that amount of money. He felt that he must pay it back to government chest. And then it goes on and on. And he said that furthermore, a copy of the Japan report, as well as report of what had been transpired between yourself and the president, has found its way into the public domain. What transpired between the president and the special prosecutor that find its way into the public domain? That is according to their response. They are saying that there's something that transpired between the president and Martin Amidu.
Wasn't it in reference to the 16th of October?
They should tell, because they are saying that the president is not interfering. I'm just quoting this aspect to show you how the president was concerned, because Martin Amidu dared to touch a family member of the president, assuming that it was Antonio Sekoto, who was the finance minister, and this issue had come against it. Would the president have called the special prosecutor on a Sunday night and tell him that you hold on, I am going to Volta region to come and I'm going to deal with issues coming there, and you are not running away from responding to this, you are responding to issues of his officers, and you are saying that Martin Amidu had not recruited people, even though his request to recruit people, was granted, to recruit people to sit in the 3-bedroom house and in the quarters when the issues concerning his office has not been dealt with. In any case, the place you are asking Martin Amidu to go and occupy, that 10-story building by Parliament, was built by the same John Dramani Mahama whom you said that he did nothing. That same story building was built by John Dramani Mahama, whom you said he did nothing. You are now, you see, the whole issue about the OSP office was not to investigate the NPP rot, but was targeted solely for John Mahama to destroy
and it. Backfired.
And it backfired. Okay. And Kwame, you see, I think we should have time to discuss this thing. You see, it must be emphasized that other than in respect of the Ajapa report, you have never made any claim of interference in your work by the president. That is why he's making the interference. It's because he has interfered in the Ajapa deal. That is why he's talking about, and that's why he's saying. So it means that what Manamidi said was true. They are saying that, Kwame, listen, point 10, it must be emphasized that other than in respect of the Ajapa report, what they are saying is that apart from the Ajapa report, the president has not intervened in any of his investigations into other rots. Are you with me? So it means that what Martin Amidu said was true, that you really intervene. So they are not answering this long page thesis and whatnot. It's not telling us anything. Anyway, the man has said that ever since he did the exposure, his life has been under threat. Very well. And he knows that Hameswal, who was fighting against corruption, has been killed. Very well. A lot of people don't know. Yeah. Where is he? Even the keys to the office has been changed because of corruption. I'll give you an opportunity again. The issue is the friends and family. You cannot fight corruption when you have your black people occupying sensitive positions of the state. There's no way you can fight corruption. Very well. I'll give you an opportunity again. Let me say a special good morning to all those watching us from Sierra Leone. I'm seeing all your messages. Sierra Leone, Liberia, Senegal, Nigeria, Gabon. I've seen all your messages on Facebook. Keep watching Pan-African television. Mr. Pat, please. So they should tell what transpired before it finds itself into the public. Thank you. Mr. Pat, please.
Well, I think that some of the fundamental issues thrown up in this apparent confrontation between the president and the special prosecutor are not being looked at. One, forget about all the things which have been said. If we live in a country in which people who are acting on the basis of their constitutional mandate, legal mandate and so on, are threatened to the extent that they feel that their life is at stake, it's a huge matter. And we ought to look at this within the framework, within the context that several anti-corruption campaigners have lost their lives or have been victimized. And the case in point is Ahmed Swari, the case of Ahmed Swari. So that in itself is a big issue. What is it that makes Mr. Martin Amidu feel that his life is threatened? That's a major issue. Indeed, by now, the investigative arms of government should have been prodding in that area, should have been finding out who are responsible for the threats and so on. That should have been their focus in any civilized society. Unfortunately, I'm not hearing a lot about that. Okay. Now, if you look at the exchanges between the presidency and Mr. Martin Amidu, you tend to get the impression that the management of the finances and assets of this country is in a total mess. Here we are, a building is being handed over to the office of the special prosecutor. How is it done? Keys are put in an envelope and a dispatch rider is sent to deliver the keys. Is that how you hand over state assets to a state institution? You put keys in an envelope and you send a dispatch rider to deliver it. Where is the list of inventory? There's no statement about the state of the property which is being handed over. There's no statement about the value of the property and so on. Keys in an envelope. Dispatch sent through a dispatch rider. Is that how this country is being managed? I am really frightened if that is how this country is being managed. And that, for me, is a major, major, major issue in this discussion. Put that aside. Budgetary allocations are made to the office of the special prosecutor. The office of the special prosecutor does not spend those monies, and these are huge money, 60 million and so on. He doesn't spend them. And yet, those monies at the end of the year are not paid back into the consolidated funds. They are left in the accounts of the office of special prosecutor. Even in the jungle, this does not happen. This goes against all the rules and regulations. And yet, presidential spokespersons, persons speaking on behalf of the president, they have the courage to tell us that this is what they did. And they think we applaud them. Monies are made available to a state, to a legal institution. You understand? It does not spend them. At the end of the year, we still leave the money in the accounts. Is that what the regulations say? I wonder. The special prosecutor says that, look, he has not been paid since he was appointed. And I said, but there's some money in the account, you should have spent it. When we have laws on the misapplication of funds,
Yes.
the money in the accounts, was it for capital expenditure or for recurrent expenditure? Because if it was a capital expenditure, it could not have been spent on recurrent expenditure. The rules are clear. And yet, people in government, they're telling us, oh, but if there's money in the account and you have not been paid, just take some. Take some. Hey! What is this? And then the man comes and says, I was living in a 3-bedroom, I was working from a 3-bedroom house with a boys' quarters. So, but you should have appointed more than 200 people. Those 200 people, how are they going to work? Work on the roof of the building? 3-bedroom house to accommodate 200 and something people? What is that? Strange. Absolutely strange. And yet, presidential spokespersons have no shame. They say this to us, and so on. Mr. Martin Amidu makes the point that because of the nature of his work, he needed secure premises to work from. Who is going to dispute that? Mr. Martin Amidu, by virtue of the duties assigned to his office, is operating in the security and intelligence zone. He cannot share office accommodation with other departments and so on. It is not possible. He's likely to receive informants and so on. You understand? So how was he expected to work in a building that he's sharing with other agencies and so on? Doesn't make sense. Indeed, the statement uttered or the response uttered by Nana Asante Bedietwo is clear. That they offered him 3 floors in a 10-floor building. His refusal does make sense. You understand? And I said, we did not interfere with your work. We did not interfere at all in your work. What is interference? The Office of the Special Prosecutor has written a report. He's called by the President and given some other response to incorporate in his report. Is that not interference? And then when you talk about it, they say, oh, the President was applying the rules of natural justice. Mr. Amidu or the Office of the Special Prosecutor did not prevent the Minister of Finance from responding to his risk assessment report. Indeed, the Minister of Finance could have gone to court to challenge the findings. You understand? The Minister of Finance could have made public statements on his own and so on. Why did the President insist that the response of the Minister of Finance should be incorporated into the report? The only effect would have been to water down the report and so on. But you see, this thing, it has so many dimensions. So many dimensions. Mr. Martin Amidu's own statement claims that the President asked him to wait for a week. And Mr. Martin Amidu says he reluctantly waited for a week. Why the reluctance? The reluctance could only be the result of Mr. Martin Amidu knowing that the President could not instruct him.
Absolutely.
So why did he accept the President's appeal to him to wait for a week? So somehow he himself accepted the interference.
True.
So why is he complaining to us today? When he accepted the interference and so on. That's like, this whole thing is so murky and so on. And I'm sure that we'll come to discuss it some other time in more detail and so on. You see, if you read the 64-page report which Mr. Martin Amidu wrote, there are interesting aspects. He raises questions about why Parliament was given only 4 hours to go through this and approve it. It raises the question of the role of Parliament, the oversight responsibility of Parliament over the executive. 4 hours and Parliament agreed. Happily, they agreed. Something must be wrong. You understand? Something must be wrong. He raises many questions. Many questions. He talks about the rigging of the bidding process. That's an important matter. In any case, after Mr. Martin Amidu had done his risk assessment report, should he have presented it to the President?
No.
Should he have presented it to the President, given the law which established the Office of Special Prosecutor and which insisted on the independence of the Special Prosecutor? In any case, what is all this about the Office of the Special Prosecutor? If you take Article 88 of the 1992 Constitution, Article 88 is clear that the power to prosecute is vested in the Attorney General. Okay? So, the Office of Special Prosecution is exercising the powers of the Attorney General. You understand?
Yes.
The whole rationale for establishing the Office of the Special Prosecutor was to insulate it from governmental control. Now, how do you insulate the Office of Governmental Control when the office is exercising the powers of the Attorney General? Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So, ab initio, there was a problem with the legal foundation for the establishment of the Office of Special Prosecutor ab initio. Why? What is happening today is not happening, is not hitting us by surprise. Alhaji Inusa Fuseni, Member of Parliament, predicted in broad daylight that given the circumstances of the creation of the Office of Special Prosecution and so on, he didn't see Mr. Martin Amidu lasting the full length, and that he suspected that Mr. Martin Amidu will resign at a certain point. John Ndebugri, my own good friend John Ndebugri, made that prediction. He said Martin Amidu will resign. He can't work under these circumstances. What are we seeing? Now, for those who are taking pot shots at Mr. Martin Amidu, yeah, I think they should try a little and maintain a certain level of consistency. When they were calling him citizen vigilante and all that and praising him and so on, what was he doing there? He was doing exactly what he's doing today. What they were applauding is exactly what he's doing today. Why? They were applauding him because he was doing it against NDC and John Mahama. But if he does the same thing against NPP and Nana Akufo-Addo, then there's a problem. What double standards? Mr. Martin Amidu has not done anything different from what made him citizen vigilante. The same thing is what he's doing today. Now, in this country, we all get tired sometimes. Get tired, of all these double standards. We get tired of all these sycophants. We all get tired of all these hypocrites. We all get tired of all the nonsense that is happening in our country. And the youth of this country want a new dispensation. Yeah. A new dispensation. A dispensation that is based on principle, that is based on a certain level of honesty. A dispensation that frowns on the double standards. A new dispensation, that aims at building a prosperous society for everybody. A new dispensation with the rules are applied. Not this shambolic attempt.
Oh.
Kwame.
I wanted more. I wanted more. I wanted to, Mr. Kwame, I wanted to have your take on this application of Article 58(1), because I think it was also, looked at in the response by Nana Santi-Bediatu, and the fact that the president has discretionary powers to direct the finance minister to respond to Martin Amidu's allegation.
The president has powers to ask the finance minister to respond to any allegation. But he has no power, no right, no obligation to utter the report of the special prosecutor.
Okay.
Because if the president has that right, then what was all the noise about insulating the office of the special prosecutor from executive control? Clear. You don't have to think far, Massa. These are very simple, basic matters of principle and of law. Oh, you don't think far.
Thank you, Mr. Pratt. Yes, Honorable.
You see, in the case of Kwesi Nyantakyi of the Ghana Football Association, about the allegations of the bribery and that he was going to give something, when it touches the president, he quickly referred the matter to the CID, Madam Tiwa. Anything that this government found out that it is going to touch the propaganda they put out there concerning how the president has been incorruptible, they go all after you. Today they are calling Martin Amidu incompetent. They're giving him names. They were the people who celebrated, did pomp and pageantry in this country about his appointment. In any case, what didn't WikiLeaks tell us about President Akufo-Addo's leadership? We were foretold that he is a character that his leadership is nothing to write home about. We were also foretold and forewarned by Kumsin of Chronicle, former editor. A lot of people who knew the in and outs of the current president told us about it. Those who were bold came out. Those who were not bold shrouded it in some metaphors so that it is not left with those who can decode that proverbial language that you would understand what they were talking about, the character of the people. And it's about time this country begin to craft a law to criminalize hypocrisy and sycophancy. If we don't criminalize hypocrisy and sycophancy in this country, we are going to be tired and get irritated.
Right.
How come that people who turn around 360 degrees, who were dancing, that the president did the best choice because they are targeted a particular political group, and when that sword fell on just one of them, they turn around 360 degrees and lambast the same fellow? We are not going to allow that in this country.
Thank you.
And it is the voters, it is the electorate who are going to make the decision on December 7th as to whether to maintain this corrupt and family and friends cabal, or to let them be there. And if they do, what the electorate are telling we the politicians is that anytime they vote us into power, they are not going to hold us responsible for the power that has been bestowed on us, and that we can go on and dissipate and steal the resources of this country. They are not bothered, and that they would always add on to us. It's about time the electorate tell us that if the institutions are not working, they are not sleeping, and that they are going to watch us and vote for us in accordance with our performance in parliament, our performance in governance, and our protection of state resources, and the protection of the rights of the people of this country, rather than to abuse and kill people who are fighting against corruption in this country, who are fighting against maladministration, corruption, and hypocrisy. And it's about time we make a law against hypocrisy in this country. And people found culpable must be charged for criminal hypocrisy.
Okay, we're just about wrapping up, but let me just go for this quick commercial break. When I come back, I'll read your messages and wrap up on the show. Stay with us.
The pharmacist say?
Grandma, he said this medication too is not covered under the NHIS.
Oh, are they destroying the National Health Insurance too?
No worries, Grandma. In the NDC's People's Manifesto, John Mahama says if he wins, he will provide free primary health care for all.
This is interesting. Tell me more.
Oh yes, under this policy, any Ghanaian who visits the district hospital, clinic, polyclinic, or the CHIPS compound with malaria, hypertension, diabetes, fibroid, and so on will be treated for free, whether or not they have an NHIS card.
Really?
Oh yes, Grandma. All you need to enjoy free healthcare is the possession of any national ID card that shows that you are Ghanaian.
But Baba, will he cancel the National Health Insurance?
No, Grandma. He won't cancel the NHIS. The free primary health care policy will just complement the NHIS.
Is that so?
Yes, Grandma. There is a big one. In addition, he plans to establish a kidney and cancer disease trust fund to support people with your condition who waste all their life savings on treatment.
Oh, wow. May God bless this man.
Oh yes, his achievements are outstanding. Grandma, do you know that he built the University of Ghana Medical Center, Bank of Ghana Hospital, the Ridge Hospital, the Maritime Hospital, East District Hospital, Dodowa District Hospital, Upper West Regional Hospital, and many more. Some of these hospitals became our savior during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh, but that one I know. Baba, take my phone. Call Fifi, call Sisi, call Ewurejua, call everybody in the house and tell them to call the whole family to come and vote for John Mahama and the NDC to come and save our lives.
Yes.
Vote John Mahama and NDC for jobs and prosperity for all.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. Let me read a few messages and then we wrap up on today's show. Good morning to you, Kwame. Ghanaians should know from now that the incorruptible tag on our president should now be removed. Mr. Amidu has now exposed him. Their corruption level cannot be matched with any government in the history of Ghana. Johnny from Adenta sent in this one. When the watchman gets to know that the landlord himself is a real thief, the watchman has no business staying to steal, but to flee. Joe from Nankpanduri. Yamoha in Wa says Daniel Domelovo is gone because of corruption in his family and friends government. Martin Amidu is also gone because of corruption in this family and friends government. Ameswale was killed because of corruption in this government. Let's rescue Ghana from this state capture under this family and friends government. Rescue mission is a must. Eric Opoku says greetings to Honorable Atofos. The Kufuor-led MPP government has milked this country dry like no government in the history of our dear nation, Ghana. Today, corruption has been legitimized under Kufuor. Vote for JMNJ in 2020 for Operation Sting to crack down on corruption and reverse this disastrous trend. MPP defeated Anas, MPP defeated Domelovo, MPP defeated Manasseh, MPP has now defeated Amidu. The MPP and Akufo-Addo are actually fighting anyone fighting corruption under his administration. Yao says, good morning, Kwame. Wonderful, Mr. Pratt. Tell the Honorable NDC man to be vigilant in this election because the verification machines don't have any code. Good morning to you, KOD. Ghana is sitting on a timer. May God save Ghana. Akufo-Addo is doing the opposite of what he told Ghanaians prior to the 2016 elections. God save Ghana. The coat of arms of Ghana, known to be Ghana, is in the code of James. Akufo-Addo has changed the code to Ghana in the hands of Akufo-Addo and the judiciary and family. Okay, right. Thank you, James, for your message this morning. Good morning, champion boss. It's a very serious trick that they played on Martin Amidu. The gift me system is designed as such that you can have money in there, but you can never access it without authorization by powers that be. It is a deliberate agenda by the government to get him angry and force him out of their way so they can appoint one of their own to do their bidding. These are, I don't want to use the word, but these guys have taken over the country. We shall soon deal with them. Jejom from Taifa sent in this one. This one says, good morning to you, Kwame. Truly, speaking from source, Akufo-Addo is making all things possible not to hand over power, whether he wins or loses. George from New Edubiase. Zach in Edra says, good morning to you, Kwame. It is a fact now that corruption fight in Ghana is a mirage, because even when the special prosecutor is in place, many corruption many corruption scandals was. It's not quite clear, but if you can resend it, I'll read it for you. Zach in Edra. Good morning to you, Kwame. Please tell Mr. Pratt that may Almighty Allah bless and protect him because we are learning so much from him. He has no size at all. We Nordness love him so much. Ahmed from Tamale sent in this message. Good morning to you, Kwame. Please greet Yelvuna. I'm enjoying your program. May Allah bless all of you. Alhaji Hamdawe in Tamale. Good morning to you, Kwame. I think the XP should have resigned long ago after he himself realized the main reason he was appointed was not achieved. The MPP knew he's the only one who can expose them in their corrupt act, since he was able to expose his own party. Okay, Kasim from Goso sent in this message. Good morning to you, KOD. It has now become clearer that the intention of this government in appointing Martin Amidu as special prosecutor was just to shut his mouth from exposing corruption in Akufo-Addo's government, and that agenda has failed. Again, the resignation of Mr. Amidu clearly shows that this government is never ready to fight corruption. Techi Isaac from Kentampo sent in this one. Sir, please don't get tired, for you are our hope, Mr. Pratt. Please don't get tired. This one is from Apostle Bright in Taifa. The video circulating in the system is indeed going to lead to chaos in this country, and we the good citizens will not sit down for such insane things to happen. We shall resist for whatever that will happen to happen with our last breath. People using the police vehicle are advised to also desist from intimidating us. Good morning, Pan African TV. The SP could no longer smell the stink of corruption from Akufo-Addo's government. By the way, the teachers' salary arrears have not been paid, and also the student loan trust is not coming. Michael Gazy from Agona Swedro. Good morning to you, Kwame. Greetings to your panelists. Our president has really disappointed us. Come December 7th, he will be shown the exit. Eli from Anloga. Uncle Kwesi, this country, only Lord can deliver us from the mouth of the beast we call government. Okay. Tana from Bupe Savannah. Good morning, Pan African TV. Ghanaians have to vote wisely come December 7th, 2020. Tyrant leaders like Akufo-Addo should be voted out. The young sympathizers of Nanado should know that old age would not allow Nanado to live. Okay. Good morning to you, Kwame. When the visionary nation builder JDM, aka the political Gassem, has resolved to remodel all markets in Ghana, another is saying he's going to rewire unplanned spaces we call markets. Choose JDM. Salom from Medina sent in this one. Good morning to you, champion KOD, and your panelists in your studio, especially Mr. Pratt. God bless him. Mr. Kwame, we can see that this police group are real terrorists recruited by this government to intimidate voters on election day. But we, the youth, are also ready to resist and defeat them with our last blood. Our democracy today is as a result of hard work of our forebears, and we will not sit down for anybody to spoil it. Eric from Amasaman here in Accra. Good morning to you. It amazes me when people expected Martin Amidu to recruit staff. That was not his job specification. Moreover, he himself had no appointment letter. So on what basis was he going to recruit the staff? His job was simply operational and not administrative. Jacob from Amasaman sent in this one. This one also says, Honorable Tim, Mr. Pratt, you are too much. God in his own wisdom tested Ghanaians, but inshallah, we shall rescue this country. Sadiq from Tamale sent us this message. Musa Abatwa in Kumasi says, in the Martin Amidu's resignation letter, he stated categorically that government has not disputed the fact that Akufo-Addo handed him a copy of Kenneth Furata's comment to infuse in a Japa report, but he refused. The mere fact that Akufo-Addo met him when he was investigating a Jaboni deal tells you that a claim made by Mr. Amidu is true and nothing but the truth. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you Akufo-Addo is shielding his corrupt family and friends. Vote number 2 to protect the taxpayers' money. Musa Abatwa in Kumasi. How do you blow fire with what? Okay, it's not quite clear. Next time, please make it clearer so we can see. Right. This one says, it's from Pastor Daniel on Facebook. Pastor Daniel Kaku says, good morning to KOD, Uncle Kwesi, my mentor and honorable. Watching you live from Sierra Leone. I'm Reverend Daniel Kaku. Please tell honorable that the NLA corruption scandal involving the honorable was shown and it was sorrowful. $10 million? Ghana. Good morning, Uncle Pratt again. As for those who wore the khaki and who wore the khaki roaming around should be careful. Thank God the IGP has prescribed the uniform to be used during the election day. We shall deal with them when they come in any other different attack. Okay. Mr. Pratt, thank you very much this morning. Honorable, I'm grateful to you. We should find time. Yes, we should find time. I know, but I'm sure Alhaji and Alhaji will present, that time for an expansive conversation to be had.
You know the legendary Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. You know that story. So we now have a president who is behaving like Ali Baba. President Ali Baba and his 40 Thieves. Because how can the PPA look at the scandal that has been unearthed in there? The man is still walking free. If you are fighting corruption, that should be the first fellow you deal with. Why did they do that to us? Someone who came into office with less than 40,000 Ghana cedis in his pocket is now roaming with over 50 million Ghana.
If I don't read this message, I'll be in trouble. Boss, truth be told, as I still maintain, that if this government under President Akufo-Addo were to be a military junta, it would have been justifiably toppled last night by another set of military group. As the end of the road appeared to have been reached, the state capture is just monumentally incredible, and I just can't fix it except... we just can't face except to say that we have all the patience to remain till December 7th. Shalom. Dennis Y. Akwete sent in this message. Hadi from Pig Farm says, how about Mr. Martin Amidu wrote a 30 book. It was rather very long. I can't finish reading it. All those of you who sent your message that I couldn't read, I apologize. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Do have a very wonderful time. My name is Kwame Owusu, so it's been a pleasure serving you this morning. Have a nice day.